Welcome. I forgot to bring my book today, so um, which is really disappointing because I was really looking forward to the next chapter. The next chapter has to do with Virgo, and Virgo is exciting. This is a very fun chapter. But not just fun. Um, it's very informational, very educational. This chapter is an eye opener. Um, it shows you astrotheology in the Old Testament, um, and it's really amazing. It's related also to the very first chapter of the book, which has to do with the three magi. All right. Um, so y'all tune in. I don't know if I'll be back within 12 hours or if it'll be within 24 hours. It depends. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm sure you all are going to like it. Also, we're going to deal with the parting of the Red Sea, Pharaoh, uh, Miriam, Moses and Aaron's sister, and just a whole lot more. This chapter is action packed. It's a lot of action in this upcoming chapter. If y'all want to read it in advance, which I prefer that you do, um, go ahead and do so. This is the chapter on Virgo. I forgot the title, the exact name, but you'll know it when you see it. It's Virgo. All right. So, of course, Virgo, we're going to talk about water. Uh, there's a lot of etymology in it, but definitely we're going to talk about water. And whenever you're talking about water, a few things should come in mind. Well, Aquarius is the water bearer, right? And Aquarius is pouring water into the big fish's mouth, which is where the story of Jonah comes from. That should come to mind. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm saying that should come to mind because it's about water. But then you should also think about who lives in the water after their physical body expires. Who lives in the world of the dead or the land of the dead underneath the waters? Okay? And then you can start to examine, and then you can begin to do your etymological examination or investigation, right? So Mary, Miriam, right? Or Miriam, Mary, mermaid, Marina, etc. When you talk about Mary, you get into Isis, right? And so many, many more. So now we're getting deep. We're getting into Oannes, right? Oannes is a mermaid, half man, half fish. But his image is different than what we see today with the mermaid. Today, what we see with the mermaid in the imagery, the mermaid has a fish's tail. But Oannes had a fish's tail as well as 2 legs and 2 feet. And he would walk up out of the water. And I believe it was the red, what was the name of the body of water in Babylon? He would walk up out of the sea, the red something. I don't remember. But it's in the book. Just right now, I don't remember. He'd walk up out of there, and then he would educate the people. All right? And of course, Oannes is Dogon. Then you make your correlation to the Catholic Church and the mitre. They call it mitre. The Hebrew Israelites call it a mitri, but it's the same thing. They wear it in Buddhism. They wear it in the Christian religions, right? And the Hebrew Israelite wears a small mitre. Doesn't raise above the head. It's a small. In my opinion, signifying small fish in the pond, little more, blackamoor. Y'all see it? The small fish, the derogatory presentation of Moors. Everybody see it? All right, so now we're dealing with hybrids. Okay, hybrids. So the Raphaim are the ongoing generations of the Nephilim. And then, of course, there's the mixture, or what's said in the Bible is that Esau corrupted his blood by marrying a Horite. So now we see the indication that the blood of the Horites, or of the Raphaim, Nephilim, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing, was mixed with natural blood. Okay, or Genesis chapter 2, blood. The specific line in the scripture says is Esau. Right? And then of course not he, but the family had war with the Horites, and then up in the mountains they took Mount Seir from the Horites. Y'all remember that? Esau took Mount Seir from the Horites, and in that Esau took the remaining 200 and something, maybe it was 230, I'm not quite sure what the exact number of women and children. So of course they married and had offspring as they went. Okay, otherwise it would not have been mentioned. That's my opinion. All right, so we see the mixture of the Raphaim blood, according to the Bible story, with Esau. All right, but you have to remember, Esau never had, or was not given any land patent. You also have to remember that in that story, the two twins in the same mother, Esau was disconnected or not included with the birthright. Okay, so hence two manner of people, but different nations. Different nations. So that bloodline had no land. All right? That's how the story goes. So they are not, my point is that line cannot inherit land. That line are monsters. According to the legal or the lawful definition of a monster, which is a human, okay, which is Han Uman, right? Or even, of course, even the full-blooded Raphaim, they cannot inherit land. Only the autochthonous Moor is the substance and subject matter of the law. Only the autochthonous Moor, or indigenous Moor, whatever you want to call it, the original man, can inherit land. Land is more, and more is land. And again, it's a well-established principle in law. The land, that Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law, period. And so now y'all should see It should be clear to you now why maritime admiralty law has been brought onto the land and the need for corporations. You can get this out of, there's a book called the Handbook of Trusts or something like that, and they go through the law about this matter that I'm talking about. All right? So this is why they use corporations. This is why they remove the substance, which are Moors, gold, and silver, or quote unquote God's money, substance, which is land. See, gold is land, silver is land, right? Just like your teeth are part of your body, your fingernails are part of your body, right? Well, gold is land. Land is the substance and subject matter of the law. Okay? So, and then those things that are used to build come from land. All right? So when we talk about water, so myrrh, Mary, Miriam, or Mary rather, is the mistress of the sea. Y'all got that? The mistress of the sea. Now, how many of you women want to be called a mistress? She's the mistress of the sea. Now, how can Mary, a full-blooded Moor, be a mistress of the sea? It's impossible, right? It's impossible. So what would this Mary have to be in order to live in the sea, to be a mistress of the sea? Would have to be a mermaid, right? Half woman, half fish. Oh, Annie's, Dogon. So if JC's mother is a hybrid, what does that make JC? And I focus your attention back on that image that I mentioned to y'all, put out by the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, where they have Jesus standing in the sea, near the shore, reaching down with his hand like this, with a Moor in his hand. Jesus has a Moor in his hand. Okay, y'all? The face of a masculine Moor in his hand, reaching down to John, to the Apostle John. This is in that book that I told y'all about that Jehovah's Witnesses put out. They call themselves JWs now. That book is called Revelation is Grand Climax or something like that, okay? It's a red book. Y'all can find this image on the internet. I might post it. But he's reaching down. Now his feet are in the sea. Okay? He's standing up. The clouds are at his shoulders. Okay? And then above his head, there's a halo of multiple colors. But they think that you're too stupid. They think that you're too stupid to recognize that this halo is the sun. Signaling to those who know, to those who are in the inner house, that this is Jesus, the sun deity. This is Jupiter, Zeus, Jupiter, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus. Y'all got it? I got that from I got that from Santos Bonacci. The Jupiter Zeus, to put it together, you get Jesus. Y'all go subscribe to his channel. He has a lot of astrotheology information. His focus is on syncretism. But anyway, so you see Jesus with his halo, okay, signifying the sun, signifying astrology, signifying giant. All right? I didn't make it up. I'm just putting two and two together and presenting it to you. You have your own brain, you have your own analytical mind, whether you want to use it or not. That's your decision. I have nothing to do with that. You know, the willfully ignorant. For those of y'all who are too afraid, too scared to face reality. And so the Apostle John, the Revelator, the author of Revelation, he's reaching up with what appears to be a bill or a letter of purchase, in my opinion. It's not scripture, because scriptures are scrolls rather. So this is some type of bill of exchange where he's purchasing the more, and then Jesus is giving the more to John, or to who? To the secret society members across the globe who run all of these nation states secretly, and corporations. Y'all got it? See, Oannes stands at the shore in the water, teaching the people. Everybody see these correlations? Why would they have Jesus standing in the water? Now we saw the Bible story with Jesus walking on water. But anyway, myrrh, water, merchant, right? On the boats, get on the ships, and you sail to distant lands on the water. The merchants, enchanted. Everybody see it? Enchantment, enchanting. God spells, enchanting, to bewilder, charming. These are all techniques. These are all techniques used by the priestly class. They enchant you. They are in fact merchants. Have no doubt about it. They are merchants. All of them are merchants. Religion is a business. Okay? And you are no different than a crackhead. You're addicted to the doctrine. And you're scared to let it go. And you undergo psychological and physical withdrawal symptoms when you try to let that religion go. Why? Because you have been bewitched. You have been enchanted by your priest, by your reverends and pastors. Every time you hear a sermon, every time you listen to the gospel music or the Hebrew Israelite gospel music, Hebrew Israelite rap music, you're being enchanted. You're being bewitched. Okay? They're the merchant, you're the customer. Y'all buy all of their merch, don't you? And all of this has to do, of course, with maritime admiralty law, the law of the sea being brought on the land, the law of merchant being brought on the land, for reasons I just explained. All of this has to do with Virgo. All of it has to do with Virgo. Okay, and remember we did the story about the so-called three wise men, the magicians, right? The magicians who are Orion's belt, the stars that make up Orion's belt, right? When we talk, we'll go over that. I don't want to give it all away, but you can review the very first chapter of the Devil's Pulpit to get more on this Virgo and then what's happening on the horizon, on the east and on the west. All right, this is very, very, very fun information to learn. This information will give you an accurate understanding of what the gospel text means, and also y'all, the so-called Old Testament. It's going to open your eyes. You'll see the astrotheology. You'll see why we as a people need to rewrite the book of the law. And of course, if you've been following my work, I'm doing a project to do just that, to rewrite it, to restore it, to put back in the natural law principles, or just natural law. Natural law, we see natural law in the Constitution. So constitutional principles, okay? To restore it, to show you the etymology, just like I show you, or not me, but the author of the Devil's Pulpit, Robert Taylor, shows you all of that etymology, puts it right there in your face, right? Nothing for you to guess or wonder about. But whether or not your reading comprehension skills are high enough so that you can not just read it, but comprehend it, well, that's a different story. And most of our people cannot comprehend it because we've been cheated out of an education, okay? But can you really say you've been cheated? Actually, no, because you've been cheated because that was, hold on. You know, that was the promise that was made. So you've been cheated in that way, but ultimately, we're responsible to educate our own selves, our heirs, and our own selves. Any deficiencies that we have, that's our responsibility to do it. So anytime you go to people who have genocided you out, physically and on paper, people who are publicly known to hate you, and yet you depend on them, willingly depend on them and believe them, well, are they really, who's really responsible for any type of harm you endure and that you consented to? You see what I'm saying? So this is the position that we are in. Most of us are in, all right? For the obvious reason. A lot of us don't want to take responsibility to be accountable because it takes effort takes energy, and it takes finance. And we've been conditioned to not want to do any of those things for ourselves and not to cooperate with each other. So a lot of people may even just feel defeated or too tired, right? But ultimately, It's your fault. It's our fault. And when we realize that, even though it might hurt, maybe you get mad at me for saying it, but when you take responsibility, that puts you in power. That restores your power. Okay? Otherwise, you can blame somebody else and the problem continues. But once you take responsibility for it, then that means you now are aware that you have the power to change it if you want to. Okay, y'all? So we're going to get into all of this and more in the chapter on Virgo. There's a lot more astrology coming up in this chapter than it was in the last chapter. Okay? So it's going to be fun, y'all. Really, really fun. Now, by the way, merchant, they said, they told us in school that the first slave ship was the good ship Jesus. These were what? Merchant cargo ships. Merchant cargo ships. Enchant. All right, y'all see what I'm trying to tell you? The good ship Jesus, Deuteronomy 28:68. Right? You'll be put back into slavery or forced servitude, rather, on ships. On ships. All right? So, maritime admiralty law. Okay? Maritime admiralty law. Religion. Religion is that good ship Jesus. Religion is the bondage. Christ or Jesus, the Jesus that y'all know in your Baptist church and your Christian church, you know, that fake Jesus, the fake Jesus that has a made-up historical story, life, that one has you in the palm of his hand. In other words, the clergy has control over your mind, your language, and your perceptions. See, once you begin to correct the language, which is through etymology and philology and linguistics, once you begin to correct that, now you can break the spell. You can get your mind back. But until then, you remain out of your mind. You remain out of your mind. What you see and what your brain perceives and what you hear and what your brain understands don't match. Why? Because your words don't match. You've been taught connotative linguistics. All right, our people are out here calling a dog a frog and a mouse a cat. All right? That's what's happening. And out of your own words, when you speak like that, you identify yourself as goyim, as property, as a servant. And you get handled as such. I said handled because property gets handled. All right? So we have to correct our language. We have to return to the Most High, which is following His commandments, which means to follow His instructions. All right? Primarily of which, don't bring any other powers, don't bring any other gods before my face. You get that out of Exodus, right? That's part of the Ten Commandments. So-called Ten Commandments, right? You get that right there. But you're calling, although you don't realize it, But you're calling on external deities. Gods that you don't know anything about, our ancestors didn't know anything about. Those deities, this Jesus Christ figure, they were brought to the Americas from Europe. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, they came from Africa. I'm talking about Christianity as it was given to us. We don't know these gods. So you have great men in our history, modern times, like Noble Drew Ali, who said, and he's not the only one who said, give the European back their deities. Dr. Clark said it. Dr. Ben said, give them their gods back. Right? So everybody's told us that. So as long as we are worshiping these external deities, let me not say we. If you're watching, everyone who worships these deities, you are breaking the Most High's commandments. You are out of harmony with nature. You are breaking natural law. And why is that? First, you need to know who you are. And I'm going to leave it like that. Islam to all the Moors. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Find out who you are. Find out who you are, and you'll come to realize that you don't need an external deity. All right? In Psalms 82:6, all of you are quote unquote gods. In other words, all of you have the power to create your own reality, to save yourself. Sons, and many are sons with the womb of the Most High. What's the Most High, y'all? Etymologically, what's the Most High? The Most High, etymologically, is the S-U-N, sun. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Isn't that interesting? When you look at that from its literal point of view. Islam to, by the way, before I go, thanks everyone for supporting my project to write the Book of the Law in modern English and Ancient Ibaryath to show you the natural law and constitutional principles, concepts, which are Hermetic laws, etc. If you want to know more about that, all of the points, not all, but many of the points that I'm going to restore to the Book of the Law is in the description area of this video, okay? So yeah, but there'll probably be more. But I'll put the etymologies, so just like in the Devil's Pulpit, you'll be able to see this stuff, all right? You'll be able to do your own analysis, not depend on me or any other translator, right? Because that's another one of y'all gods. The Bible translators are your gods because they are giving you the Word of God. Filtered through their beliefs, through their agenda. Y'all ever thought about that? Yes. And again, special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course and who have bought my books. So thanks everyone. I got to run. I have an appointment I have to be at. Everyone have a good day, a good morning, good afternoon, or a good evening, wherever you happen to be on the planet. Islam to all the Moors, and Shalom.